12.0.5's launch did not go as expected, to say the least. We just went through the whole apology letter that Blizzard put out. They did, in fact, put out a Blue Post apology about how the launch of 12.0.5 went. It wasn't great, and people are upset. Okay, so let's watch this one real quick from Marcellian. We need to talk about patch 12.0.5. This isn't okay. Here we go.
Can always use another.
Oh my, Snooker coming in with the prime just as I played the video. Thank you, Snooker. I appreciate that. Death Knight of our Scourge. Thank you, thank you. Oh no, he's serious.
We need to have a talk about the patch 12.05, its release date, state of bugs, and what actually is going on in the game, because at this point, it's becoming a little bit unacceptable. Welcome back to Marcellian and Flame. Today, this is an unscripted video. There was no plan to make this until we've seen an actual Reddit post that we had to talk about, and I'm gonna mention that in a second.
Okay.
Since we've done this type of video before, and it feels like...
I said it already, but you know what's sad about this? I actually think 12.0.5 is like one of the coolest 0.5 patches I've ever had. Like, typically 0.5 patches are like really mundane content, not much going on. It's mainly like class changes. Okay, that's it. We got those in this patch. But the content we also got was pretty cool. I think like what he's showing in the background, the ritual sites with these active like affixes that you can pick. I thought they were really fun. But it's all been overshadowed by how broken shit was.
This is just a constant recurring issue that we hoped we've addressed awareness to it, but it seems like this is the worst state ever. So it kind of begs the question, us as content creators, are we doing a good enough job at raising awareness to potential issues? Well, let's see if this video does it. And if you think this is good to put out there in the public, hit a like and a subscribe. I mean, obviously that's great for us, but it definitely puts the video up there for more people to see, since these things need to be said by as many people as possible. Again, right now, we're going to be talking about Marcellian and I's opinion on the state of 12.05, the state of general WoW PTR cycles, because it might be a little bit chest bumping, but we have been on the PTR beta for every single patch since beta BFA and earlier as well. But as content creators invested in actually posting issues about the game, we have been doing this for a very long time. So maybe we might have some awareness of how PTR cycles go, what kind of problems get addressed, and how open the communication is. Spoiler alert. Not very open, or at least not ideal as open as it should be. So let's dive in first of all as to what the issues are with 12.05. And I am not going to go into all of them. There's quite a few, and most of you guys might be aware of at least one major unacceptable issue. And I do want to, before we go further, point out a very, very, very good post by, I think, Sergeant Folly on Reddit, where the man essentially stated in a very respectable and professional way the problems with 12.05. This is the least inflammatory Reddit post I have seen, the most constructive feedback that I have heard, although it doesn't have a lot of solutions, but it points out the problems in a very, let's say, ethical and well-mannered way. Good job to you, sir. Much appreciated. It actually spurred us to want to make this video even more. Now, part of the issue with this is the amount of bugs that are coming out, as with all patches, and the fact that some of these are just purely unacceptable. Take away the
man, there's something there I didn't even know were a freaking problem. What the heck? Public clarity role, automated tool, 12.0.5 testing, the candidate accounts. What the hell? This is a crazy long list. Jesus. The demonology stuff, yeah, we did talk about that. Item and consumables, Midnight Engineering. Designs to prevent food and flask buff decay are only applying to Kaz-Elgar food. What the hell? How does some of this shit happen? You know, I just wonder sometimes, like, is it the spaghetti codes? Is this game so old that one thing just breaks? It's like, it has to break something. It's inevitable that something's going to break because of how much shit there is in this game at this point.
Core duels issue where hunters can use tracking to actually find people that are hiding as the core. I mean, this sounds like something that you would have noticed on the PTR really quickly and fixed. And launching a new system in a new game with this kind of issue doesn't feel like it should be the case. Not to mention that if you are good enough at hiding when the core duels, the game flags you as AFK and removes you from rewards eligibility. So remember those horror
How did Blizzard not see that one coming? People are going to stand still in decor duels, right? You're going to hide. You're not going to move. And then it fucking AFKs you? Oh, jeez.
movies where the kid is so
How
good
is that
at
not
hiding
tested
that
out?
it turns a little bit dark. I mean, this is not dark, but it's kind of the same thing. You're too good at hiding, so oops, you're just failed from the whole system. Not to mention gameplay issues with Laura bugs across all difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
Not knowing when abilities come out, what abilities come out, especially when it comes to guild progression, because this is who actually these types of endgame bosses are designed for, and who actually gets to experiences these issues. Now, I understand that, you know,
people.
everybody has a schedule, everybody has to go to work the other day, and everybody can only dedicate some.
Yeah, basically these guilds wasted their time. So that light shield that you put down that's supposed to protect you from Lura's shit wasn't working. So she was just blasting everybody. She decided, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm just going to eliminate everyone who tries to kill me.
Many hours in a day, and if that particular time frame is messed up, then we have to come back next week. There are guilds who have, let's say, Monday night as their raiding night with their guild, us included as well. And if they're progressing Lura and Lura is bugged, their entire night is essentially gone. Their plans are gone because there was no way for them to know ahead of time that this is going to be an issue, because it wasn't posted to be an issue. I don't know if Blizzard knew that this was going to be an issue, but for any guild that was progressing Lura, I guess just take 5 and see you next week,
Yeah,
or
you lost a week,
hopefully the next raid day, if that still coincides with the guild's rating progression, and see you there and see if that progression can be made properly. This might not sound like a very big issue, but when it comes to World of Warcraft, a game that's supposedly intended for a more mature audience, people that have jobs. I mean, Holly Longdale even stated that while player base is getting older, we don't have time to spend 12 hours a day grinding reputations, achievements, attunement runs, and all of that stuff. So things have to be a little bit more catered for the average schedule of an average adult. Well, the average schedule of an average adult implies that I kind of only really have 3 to 4 hours a day, at most 2 days a week, to actually raid. And if that schedule is borked, then I'm down for that week, and then everything is being delayed by a week, and you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's what I pick.
Another sad thing, like I was saying earlier, a lot of this content's great. The Lura fight's a really good fight. I actually think it's one of the better fights Blizzard's made in a while. Unfortunate that basically for a week it was completely broken because of this patch just killing everybody who tried to do it.
For as a customer, 12, 13, 14, 15 bucks a month, depending on the region that you are in. Class bugs are also a problem. Class bugs that are posted on forums.
Yeah.
Class bugs that, again, see Rogue taking the brunt of it. These guys cannot catch a break. It is unbelievable that rogues are consistently at the top of the list of all bugs, but they're not the only ones, unfortunately, this time.
They deserve it if you ask me. Fucking gankers and shit. Yeah, that's right. Now, some of the bugs actually helped classes too. We saw like Devour, Demon Hunter, and Death Knight, I think it was Unholy DK, had buffs that were basically bug buffs. They were buffing their fucking damage, so they were just pumping crazy-ass numbers. They're fixed now, but it was pretty insane what they were doing before.
And there are definitely
big still
bugs.
No, it's fixed.
Some bugs, for instance, on my end, as a Devourer main player rating, I actually am positively bugged. I am actually doing so...
This is what I was just talking about. The chart was insane. Like, we were looking at the DPS charts. They were like 10% above everybody else on the parses. It was crazy.
Much damage. It is unbelievable. Now, I'm not saying that we killed bosses because of me. However, going from like the 5th, 6th DPS in my raid to the top by a large margin, being able to clear the ads on Voracious, which was the boss that we progressed last night, way quicker, because there were some points where the wall at Voracious got destroyed a second before we got hit with the beam. So you could say that just a little bit of unacceptable positive buffs that Devour has released might have helped to get that wall a second too soon. Otherwise it would have been a wipe. Otherwise we might not have beaten the boss, and we might have still been progressing on it. But because I was positively bugged in an unfair way, we were able to clear the boss. Now, again, I'm not saying this to point out that my guild couldn't have killed the boss without me, but I'm saying that some of these bugs can affect actual gameplay progression in a positive way, thankfully for us, or in a negative way where it just feels unfair, unwarranted, or undeserved. Is this the kind of gameplay that we want to have or can expect at the release of a patch for a premium video game that's an MMO also, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. And probably one of the most egregious issues that we've had, which thankfully I think it has been fixed. They've announced that this has been fixed. Hopefully it's fully fixed. Is the Void Forge reroll tokens.
Yeah, it's fixed in a way. Okay, the nebulous void cores. If you already spent them, you know. If you didn't spend them, okay, cool. But basically, you had the rerolls happening, where this thing's supposed to have, essentially eliminate an item from the loot table that you could possibly get once you get it. Well, that wasn't working, so people were getting duplicates on their rerolls, which is not intended. And Blizzard talked about why this happened. We went over it this morning. Basically, the way they test shit on the PTR is different than how the real game works. Surprise, surprise. The database that this shit saves to, there's only one database that the PTR uses. So the data was saving correctly to that one database. Whereas on the live servers, there's multiple databases, and evidently your duplicate was saving to the wrong, your duplicate protection was essentially saving to the wrong database, leading you to roll again. Now, they are giving nebulous void cores back to everybody who used them improperly, or properly, anyone who used them, but just know that your improper rolls there's still a chance you can get a duplicate again. Now it's fixed, and now it saves to the right database, but all the ones that saved improperly can still come back to haunt you, which is why I think they're giving everybody void cores back.
That were advertised to not be possible to roll duplicate items on the same target. That was one of the main core features. They had like almost a full paragraph in their initial developer notes for the patch 1205 notes that came out about a month ago, that these cannot be used to roll for multiple items on the same loot pool, and every item that has been rolled for, it will be taken away from the loot pool or the loot table so that you can successfully roll for other items altogether. Well, obviously, this did not happen. So it happened opposite the way that they've publicly stated, which this makes it even harder for
Mr. Pre-Watcher. Now, I reread the notes this morning. Blizzard released extensive patch notes on why this happened, because I think they wanted to explain to people that it wasn't just an oversight. Well, it technically was an oversight, but it wasn't just them being lazy. They tested the feature. They just didn't contemplate the fact that this could go to the wrong database because there's multiple choices on live servers.
To ever publicly state something when it happens the totally opposite way, because they get insane negative press. But let's say that we appreciate the open communication, because otherwise we go back to old school WoW where nobody knew anything. But the point of this is unacceptable. And whenever situations like these happen, whether it is with the Void Forge nebulous cores, whether it is with the core duels that we've had in Silvermoon with the Hunter issues as well, or the AFK hiders, as posted very accurately by Sergeant Folly, we need to have some form of, I don't want to say compensation, because I feel like this term has a negative connotation to it, but as someone who has played live service games for over 15 years, 20 years, or even more, when I actively, recurrently pay for a product that has issues and takes away my time and my effort and my investment to it, it definitely doesn't feel that like the problem is solved if I
actually thought that Blizzard was going to give game time back. They've done that before. I thought they were going to give us game time back, but they did give the nebulous cores back, which is good. But I just thought they're going to say, like, you know what? This shit was so broken, we're going to give you a day back on your game time.
You know, get ladder points or microtransaction mount from the store or whatever. I'm not begging for free shit. This is not the point. But the point is, I want to see that the developers of the game acknowledge the time that I've invested, acknowledge the problems that I have faced as a customer, and acknowledge that they have shipped an incomplete or a subpar product, and they're working to buy, that's such a bad term, but to get my goodwill back, because they are kind of buying. We're actually exchanging here. I'm paying for the subscription, you're giving me the game. That's basically it. And we pile on top of this the AI slop, which apparently stands at the crux of a lot of these issues as well.
I didn't know about
because
this.
We still don't know how much of their game production and game development and design goes to actual AI. We all are aware that AI develops codes. This is not anything new. We are also aware that AI develops voice lines and acting, because this has probably been a problem in the past. If I recall, back in the War Within, there has been some kind of strike for voice actors.
See you in chat. What are all these fucking reply to customer service things? Are these all AI now? World of Warcraft. It takes a look. Damn.
in video games because they were going to be replaced
I
by
manually added fresh name change service to your character the next time you log in. Yep, okay.
AI, and that was, in my opinion, still unacceptable to this day. So we are aware that AI stands at the base of game design in modern gaming industry. But when also AI resolves game tickets of any kind, telling you good luck, player.
You guys remember when the game masters used to actually be characters in the game? Like they would just show up. All of a sudden, a GM would be there in front of you talking to you. That shit was insane. That was legit in-game freaking RPing at its finest. Total immersion, even when you submit a ticket.
Out there in Shadowlands when it's midnight, it just feels like I am playing not even an indie game, bro. I think we give indie games a bad rep because I think we can pretty much agree across the board that indie games have knocked it out of the park, winning game awards and all that stuff in the last couple of years. For a major gaming company, this is unacceptable. And it circles back to one of the biggest issues that we have been talking about for years, and that is the PTR and beta testing. We have stated, probably erroneously, but there's no way for us to know, and nobody can even confirm or deny that this is true, that Blizzard doesn't have a QA team. That might be a little bit an over-exaggeration, but their QA team is definitely grossly understaffed, underprepared, or underqualified. Any one of these or any combination of these will probably apply if you have been testing PTRs and beta patches for the past couple of years. The fact that people point out these issues weeks, months in advance, and they still come out boggles my mind.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean that issue that they came out and described why it happened with the nebulous void core rerolls is it was just the fact that a limitation of testing servers versus live servers. Now, should they have known that could happen? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that was kind of that was an oddity slightly. That, okay, it wasn't saving to the right place because now it doesn't only have one choice on where to save in terms of a destination database. It had multiple choices and it was picking the wrong one sometimes. I don't know necessarily how you test that out unless you try to emulate the live server as best you can. The other ones, I don't know if there's excuses for them. Some of those broken class things and shit, they should have known that stuff.
I'm not a game developer. I don't know what the problems are, but you are asking me for the problems. I'm telling you what the problems are, and they're still not getting fixed, yet I am constantly paying you. What is going on here? Going into the PTR as content creators to test out the new class, the new rewards, the new talents in a dungeon, and having nobody there definitely doesn't help us be able to test those. Having interactions only with training dummies doesn't help us understand how this spec works in combat because there's nobody to do dungeons with. Doing dungeons with followers and them accidentally pulling the boss room and 5 other packs on top of it and constantly wiping over and over and over again. Magister Cirrus, by the way, in this current expansion made it impossible for us to be able to test Magister Cirrus and the classes in that dungeon for about 3 to 4 months or more until actual Mythic Plus was instated and we had people to actually test this with. All right, I can't do this shit. I need to sit up for this. I just can't, man. This is unacceptable. I cannot sit down anymore. How many more patches do we have to go through this? And there's only one simple thing that people like us can say. We are paying customers. We haven't been late with any one of our subscriptions yet. Why do we constantly receive a subpar product from one of the biggest companies out there? I understand we cannot get a perfect product. We cannot get a perfect game. That's fine. It happens. First of all, communicate that with us. Let us know, hey, listen, we're aware of these bugs. We have tested them on the PTR. You have helped us test them on the PTR. We're working as quickly as possible to fix these. First of all,
like when he compares to indie dev companies, I just feel like this game is so old and there are so many intricacies and things tied within things that it is far more complicated to put a patch out there for something like a World of Warcraft as compared to, some single player RP, indie dev company game. Definitely. Now that doesn't, what's it called? Give them an excuse to completely release broken patch content. No, because the game is so big, they make a lot of money. They should have the resources in place to properly test this shit out. And evidently they don't. That's what it seems like. Like I said, there's going to be things they get through because the difference between a test server and the live server, that's really hard to emulate. But other than that, like a lot of these clash issues and shit, these should have been caught long time ago. And they weren't.
company that's as big as Blizzard when it comes to the biggest MMO on the market, one of the longest standing live service games
Vivendi, Activision,
ever,
Microsoft.
owned by Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the whole world. How in the hell do they not have the funds to actually have a proper QA team to not have these happen in the first place? And if they do happen in the first place, why is there no communication to help us solve this? This does not fly anymore. I don't understand what it takes for a big corporation or big organization when it comes to game design to have a team of all hands on deck situation. Oh my god, guys, we just launched the 12.05 patch. It's terrible. Things are broken. Please come into the office. We'll pay you 3 times as much. We need to fix these ASAP. Obviously,
Yeah, imagine paying employees 3 times as much to fix something that they caused. But anyways, maybe not their problem. But here's the thing. They did try to fix things and catch things right away. They shut down player housing. I don't know if anyone knows what happened with player housing yet, but they essentially like shut down the fucking service. Player housing was gone. It was deleted for like 3 days when the patch went live because it was so broken. Something was causing the servers to have issues. I don't know what it was, and they just eliminated it. So they did react quickly. But to fix it, you got to figure out what the hell happened in the first place. Clearly, they didn't know what happened because if they knew what was wrong, they would have fixed it before it even went live. So they had to go into investigation mode and try to figure out what was going on. By the way, while you're running a live service game. Like, I do feel for them. I do, because there's a lot of shit, a lot of stuff going on here. I don't think that the reaction time was necessarily slow. And they had to bring people in on the weekend. I think they reacted pretty quickly. It's just sad that they had to react because it was so broken.
they probably do something like that because we know that the nebulous cores have already been fixed so far, and that's great. But these things need to be communicated and ahead of time. Luckily, I've been playing WoW for quite a while, and I knew for sure, okay, when I logged in into 12.05, I was not going to spend any one of my cores because I know they said duplication items cannot drop from nebulous cores, but I was like, okay, let me actually confirm first that this works. So I actually dodged the issue because I just have experience with bugged patches. But what about everybody else? What about people who don't watch content creators? What about people who are not on Twitter to read the tweets of, oh my god, I just looted the same item twice again? What about those people? They will never know, and they don't even read forums, and they're just screwed now. And do they get cores back? Are we gonna get this situation?
Yeah, the answer is yes. They are giving cores back. So he made this video clearly before Blizzard dropped that blue post today.
Retroactively fixed and compensated for the fact that we have lost progression when it comes to these cores because we're limited to like 1 per week or like 2 cores per week outside of the vault that we get 1. And I'm not even gonna talk about that. That's also bugged and is not working properly. And does it end with my class not working either? Like, what are we doing here? This is not just a recently released Ashes of Creation MMO or whatever, whoever makes one of them 10,000 MMOs that never get released or have like 1 million bugs. This is World of Warcraft. It's the biggest game out there. You might not be able to ship it perfectly, but at least communicate it with us. Let us know, hey, these are our issues. We are aware. We're going to fix them. We are sorry. It might not.
I think they kind of did, though. I mean, we had like we had another, like, what was it, 3-hour maintenance the next day, and they communicated the things they knew were broken, and they also communicated the fact that they knew other things were broken that they were still investigating, and then they gave the refund, too, of the Nebulous Void cores. I think they've done everything he's asking for. But obviously, though, the best option is just don't have the patch, a really broken patch go live, which is what happened. That's the main problem. I don't think their reaction time was bad. I think the testing was bad. You just got to have a better way to test this shit out.
Solve the problem for you, but hey, look, here's 20 extra Myth Dawn crests. Here's 10,000 gold for your troubles. Here's amounts that we have worked overnight to actually say that we're sorry, and we're giving it to everybody who had an issue or as a compensatory
No, I'm not defending him. It was a bad patch release. It was fucking horrible, disgraceful. But I don't think their reaction time was the problem. I think it's the front end shit. The testing's the problem. Blizzard's got to be better about testing. They either got to hire more testers. They got to get more, I don't know, not complicated, more, just better testing servers that can actually emulate real live servers better. Because right now what they're doing clearly isn't working. And people are saying, oh, they should have delayed the patch. They didn't know it was broken. Again, it goes back to the testing shit. I think they would have delayed the patch if they knew it was broken, but they didn't even know. They just fucking pushed it out. Like, yep, it's ready. It wasn't ready. So they didn't know the chicken was raw, right? They just put it in your plate. They just got to test better up front. They do. I think that's the biggest issue here.
Compensatory, I cannot even talk anymore. Compensatory item for people that are understanding that we are actually encountering some difficulties, and this is a marker of thank you for staying with us for all this. I'm like, how hard is this to do? We're all just people at the end. We don't want perfection, but we want to feel like we're understood. We like to feel like we're not just taken advantage of because we're customers constantly being milked for every little dollar for a premium price game that runs a subscription and has an in-game shop with some of the best cosmetics that you have to pay extra for. How many more layers of this bullshit are we gonna have to go for one of the biggest games in the whole wide world, in one of the biggest game companies in the whole wide world? If Blizzard cannot do this right, then who can? And it's 2026. The amount of tech that we have available to potentially solve a lot of issues is insurmountable.
Yeah, somebody said Copilot's not a good tester. If they're using AI to test, which maybe they are using some AI testing. Actually, I would say definitely they're using some AI testing. That's fine if you supplement the real people testing with it. It's not fine if you replace the real people testing with it, which is what they might be doing, which is why we're running into these fucking problems. Have you guys heard about the AI layoffs? Reverse now? What's happening? Where companies now, I don't know if this is happening a lot, but I read an article about it yesterday that I thought was hilarious. Some of these companies that laid people off and decided to subscribe to some AI platform to do the shit that those people used to do are now unsubscribing from the AI platform and rehiring people back in to do the shit because they realize, well, the AI is not as good as we thought it was. And that shit's happening a lot now. And also AI is fucking expensive as shit to run. Now, Blizzard has the kind of the benefit of the fact that they're a Microsoft company, so they got Copilot, right? But I think people are realizing, like, dude, you can't just replace people with AI and think things are going to continue to run smoothly. People are still better than AI right now. It's just not, it hasn't reached that point where they can be replaced. I think a lot of these companies are just running too fast while AI is still walking. That's a big problem. Copilot's garbage. Yeah, I've seen that it's not the best. I prefer Google Gemini if you're asking me personally, but it's just not where a lot of these corporations think it is, and they're just trying to get cost cutting done quickly, and it's causing problems on the back end.
These problems are no longer acceptable, man. I'm a paying customer. I got charged for the full yearly subscription, which is the plan that I run for, and I almost lost my bills money. But I said, hey, listen, I mean, it's kind of our job as well to do WoW content, but I'm like, I'm gonna pay. I'm just, I like to play the video game. I want to be able to log in. I'm doing my job as a paying customer, and then I just wanted to make a reference right now that was very inappropriate for a YouTube video, so I'm gonna hold it here, but leave it to your imagination to kind of draw a conclusion as to what the hell is going on. I don't want to feel like I'm a customer waiting for a service that I pay for, because if it goes into that direction, then we're gonna have bigger problems, since the level of satisfaction that I have been paying for has not been met for a very long time. And I do want to end this on a note that Midnight is a really good expansion.
It is.
The devs have definitely been doing really good work with the game. The game is also 20 years old, so I kind of expect this to happen for a game that's this old and this highly priced. I also think that these types of issues are no longer acceptable, and I've said unacceptable like 20 times this video, in 2026, when we have so many other good examples that don't have to go through this anymore. I don't know what the solution is. I wish I did. I wish I could offer
testing.
positive and constructive feedback, but it is what it is. I feel like we need a proper QA team. We need a team at Blizzard that constantly is in charge of testing this. What does that cost? Probably more money. Now, I'm not the CFO of Blizzard, and I don't know where to allocate those funds from, but I think we can probably all agree that as a company as big as Blizzard is probably not in short of funds of actually paying people what they are due and getting all of these issues fixed. Not to mention we haven't even talked about all of the add-on bullshit that's been going on, because Marcin has been working across the office over there for the nameplate add-on to actually offer proper information to the player that should be in the base game, and it's currently not, despite the war on add-ons and the advertisement for you don't need external add-ons to play the game, because we're going to offer you the information that you need. And the video in question is right here, and you can check it right here. And if you thought that this was a good enough talking piece to raise awareness to this, and if you have more to add, please like and subscribe and share this with with more people. Thank you. And I just want to go. I just
He's upset. He's upset. Okay. You know, and rightfully so with a lot of this shit. It's not fun to get excited to log in for those couple hours you can play in a day and the patch isn't really playable. That does suck. Who was out here say the amount of people making excuses? Oh, the Simps okay with playing a broken patch because they fixed it is hysterical. I want to reiterate, though, I'm not okay with the state of the patch that it launched in. I was just saying, he was saying that the problem was on the back end fixing it. And I don't think that was the problem. I think the problem was finding the issues before they even released. I think that's the main issue here. I think once they found the problems, they reacted pretty quickly. And by my standards, I guess. But the problem was finding the issues before they launched. I think that's the better way to do it, right? Having the best team at fixing your own problems is probably not the greatest thing to say about yourself. Like, oh yeah, I'm really good at fixing problems I've created. Now, how about we just don't make the problems in the first place? That's probably the better way to do shit. Yeah. So I think that's it. Front-end testing really needs to get better over there. That's where they really got to invest their time and money, and hopefully they do that. Overall, though, a nice video from Marcellian.